Hey guys, welcome to Indie Game Hustle. My name is Charles, and in this video, we're going to take a look at setting up a game manager and I guess maybe setting up our health bar for our player. All right, so generally speaking, the game manager is going to be something that will persist from level to level, and it's going to hold all types of things. It's going to hold our UI, it's going to hold our HUD, it's even going to possibly hold the player. But we have to get all those things set up, and that's the way I'm going to approach it. So the first thing we probably want to do is start with in our hierarchy. Here I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to, let's see, I think I'll go ahead and create an empty game object, and I'm just going to go ahead and call it game manager. Okay, gamma instead of so game manager. And then inside this game manager, let's see, I guess I'll create what you call a maybe a canvas or something like that. So that's going to be our main canvas for this scene. All right, great. So now you have this canvas. If I zoom out here or if I double click on the canvas, that's going to be our canvas there. Okay. All right, great. All right, so within this canvas, what we can do is right click on the canvas, and I'm going to go to UI, and I will do something called panel. And let's see, next thing we want to do is do another panel, and I'll go UI panel. And this panel is going to be for our HUD. So at the very top here, as you can see these different options, you want to select the rect tool, and that's going to give us the ability to kind of change the size of this. Now, before we do anything, go back to the canvas, and I want to change a couple things. I want to change the constant pixel size to scale with screen size, and then I'm going to change the screen size to be 1920 by 1080. Okay, and in terms of let's see here, this we're going to leave this the way it is. However, what I may do is go ahead and reduce the alpha channel on this all the way down to 0, so it would be completely see-through. So for instance, if I push play, you should only see this white or it's kind of transparent box here, and this is kind of where we're going to hold our UI elements there. Okay, all right. So what I'll do is the panel here, this panel, we can call it the HUD, because that's going to hold everything, and then this panel can be specifically something that holds player information, so we can maybe say player HUD. Maybe player HUD, that will probably work just fine. And inside of this, we will have things like image for the health and all the health bar information and that sort of thing. So what I'll do is inside of this, I'm going to do another panel, and it's going to be specifically within this one. What I'm going to do is turn off this one, or not turn off, but reduce the alpha on this. And now within this panel, we're going to have some different things. All right. So what I will do now is call this maybe the health. And let's see here. Inside the health panel, we're going to have a few different things. Okay. So inside this health panel, we want something like an image. We can do an image. And this image can represent like an icon. You've seen it in other parts of like games like Zelda, where you might have hearts. You might have some type of bar, kind of like in Final Fantasy, where you might have like a bar where your health gets reduced from right to left. So we're going to do something similar to that. So what I may do is have an icon that shows up here, and then on the right side of that icon, we're going to have a bar that kind of reduces when the player's health is reduced. Okay, So we need different elements to represent that. Okay, so the first one is going to be an image here. The next one is going to be another image, but this is going to be an image that is representative of the bar itself. All right, so in order to do that, I believe what I want to do is go to UI, and I think it's going to be raw image. Actually, no, it's not going to be raw image. Let me go ahead and delete that. What it's going to be actually is another panel. And what I'll do is go to UI panel. And panel is going to give us some of the things we need here. So I'm going to put this in this place here, like so. And on the right side, what I'm going to do is change the color to all the way opaque, or completely not solid, completely solid there. And let's see, what else do we want? I want to turn off this to where this is completely see-through. So what we have is just the icon and then the health bar that's going to be reduced. Okay, so the next thing I want to do for this panel, and we're going to rename this, but actually I'm just going to go ahead and name it bar. And then I'm going to change this to filled. And then what I want to do is change it from radial 360 to horizontal. And it's going to be from left to right. And then in terms of the background, I think I may be actually able to just to turn off that for now. So we'll just have no sprite, and we'll just have a color representing that for now. Okay, so I guess what we can do is make it a color like green, or I'll just make it blue for now. So blue, this bar is going to be our progress bar. It's our actual health. And then I'll do another bar called trailing. And what I'll do is actually just copy and paste this one. I'll put it above it, and I'll just call it bar trailing. And this bar, I'm going to make it to be maybe like a gray or a white, which is fine. So if you were to turn this off, you'll see that bar underneath. Okay. So the idea is that when this bar goes from 100% health to this bar is going to reduce right where it's at, like that. So we need one more bar. We're going to need another bar, and this bar is just going to be like a background bar. So let me go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do a control paste, and then I'm just going to call it bar background. And this bar is going to be black. It doesn't have to be complete black. I like 191919. And then it needs to go underneath, so we need to put it like that. So this goes under this goes under this. So for instance, when this is reduced, this will trail it after a bit of time, and it'll look like this. And so then your health will look something like that, for now at least. All right, great. So we have the different bars set up, and this image is going to be like the image of an heart. It can be the image of, since this is a robot, maybe we'll do something like an energy canister or something like that. But whatever the case may be, this is what that image would represent. But for now, we're just going to leave that blank. Okay. All right. All right. So this is our health panel, right? And this is where all that information will go for our player, and our player's overall HUD is going to be represented by this as well. So we just kind of did it that way. Now I could make it to where like the player's HUD is wider and longer, but let me just go ahead and make some changes here. So for instance, if you go to the original, at the very top, we have the canvas, and then we have the panel HUD. Right now it's set to stretch within that space, but then you go to this one. This is also meant to stretch. What I want to do is change this rect transform here to something else. I want to change it to the top right, just like so. And then I'm gonna also, I'm top left, my apologies. And then we can do that. Now I think what's happening is we're backwards. So let me just go ahead and flip it. And so let me just go ahead and do that. And that already told me off the back that we're backwards. So let me refresh this or redo this. So this is going to be on this side like so. And then these bars are going to be here like this. All right. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to do it again. So we have our stretch, and then the players is going to be top left. So we want that anchored to the top left. So when our screen changes different sizes, it will keep its position. And then we're going to do the same thing to the player health one as well. So we want that to be anchored to the top left of the panel that it's a child of as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. And so now if I were to, I think, stretch this, that is going to kind of do that. But what we also have to do is do the same thing to these items as well. So now that this one is set, we need this image to be based on the top as well. And then we need these different bars. I'm going to see if I can do it all to all of them. Instead of stretching, we want these guys to be based on the top left corner. So we want it to be anchored to the top left of this health panel, this panel health. So now it shouldn't stretch. Perfect. So if our screen was to get larger, that's not going to change. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play just to kind of see what's happening when our screen changes. All right, cool. And let's go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and make this larger just to kind of see what's going on. All right, cool. So we have that here. That may be a little large, so I'll go ahead and reduce it. But for the most part, that's exactly what we want. We don't want that to change its position based on the screen here. So we want it to stay the same size, consistent, no matter what side of the screen is. Okay. All right, cool. All right, I'm going to move this back to 16 by 9. All right, cool. And put this back in here. All right, cool. So let me just go ahead and make this a little smaller. So I'll hold down the shift key. I can make that a little smaller. And then with these different bars, I'm just going to select all of those and put those in here like so, and bring this a little closer, just like that. So that should be better. And I'll even change this to where it's not necessarily taking up that much space. That's fine for now. All right, cool. All right. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and change this wording to health icon, so that I know what that represents. And now we were talking about in our last videos, we were talking about like the poise and the defense, and I do definitely want to have UI set up for those. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to reduce this. I'm thinking possibly, what if we maybe create it just like we did for this health panel? Maybe we do a defense panel and maybe a poise panel, or maybe keep those like a shield panel, maybe something like that. So let's go ahead and maybe do that. That could work out. So let me go ahead and do another panel. I'm going to do it within the overall player UI HUD. And this is also prompting me possibly to increase the size of the player HUD, because it's going to involve more elements here. So what I may do is just go ahead and make the overall player HUD something that fills the whole screen, because at the end of the day, that's going to be the case. It's going to fill the whole screen. So what I'll do is have the player HUD fill the whole screen, and then we have this health feel within that space, and that may work as well. Now, of course, it may be redundant to have both panel HUD and player HUD, but I think this is fine just in this sense. I mean, you can do this, you can do it the other way where you don't even need this panel HUD and just do a player HUD, but that's up to you. I don't think it matters one way or another, but if we run into any issues, we'll remove it. But for now, I think this is good. So I'll just go ahead and do game creator, UI panel. And then, so I'm going to reduce this. And the first thing I'll do is go ahead and change its anchoring to be the top left, right? And then what I'll do is put it in position kind of like this. And I think I want the elements of, what do you call it? The defense side of things to be horizontal. So not horizontal, vertical, up and down. So what I'll do is inside of here, just like I did this, I'll do an image, a UI image. And this can always change, but I'll do like a UI image, and this UI image can represent defense. And we'll just call it an icon. And then I'll maybe go ahead and copy that. And then this one's going to be poise. And that will be the poise icon. Okay, so I'll move that one over as well. Maybe something like that. And I may actually want those to be smaller. All right, cool. All right, and then this panel, of course, we don't want it to be, we want it to be transparent. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make it completely transparent like so. All right, great. So we have the defense icon and the poise icon. What we're gonna want now is a similar thing with the bars. Okay, so with that, that's also, of course, leading me to believe maybe it is good to have a separate panel just for those. I may actually just go ahead and do that, but let's see here. I'm gonna go panel. And this is really just for organizing it. So we'll just do panel. Maybe not, we'll see. I'll do panel and I'll kind of do it just like this, because the panel is gonna be our bar anyway. So let's just see how it plays out. So we'll just do bar. And this bar can be green, or it can be orange, maybe. We don't know all the colors yet, but for now, we can go with an orange. And this is going to be for the defense, right? And then we want another bar. So I do a Control D. And then this bar can be the trailing bar. Right? And this bar color can be white. And then the background bar, I would say I'll do a Control D. And then this bar can be black. Or not black, maybe like so. All right, great. And this is just going to be bar background. Cool. All right, and so we don't have to recreate the wheels. We can just select these and do that and just move it over. So we will have that set up for that one. Now, of course, what we want to probably do is bring it closer to our icon up top. So what I'll do is check where these end. Now, I'll move that up maybe that close. And let's see here. Yeah, I'll move that one up that close. And then this panel, I'll just move the overall panel to be something like that. So maybe that will look kind of cool. And then I'll change the color of this particular bar, which is orange, to a different color. This is going to be the poise. So maybe the poise can be, I don't know the color scheme yet, but maybe we can go with maybe like a green or something for now. Yeah, we can go with green for now. Some type of color like this. Or maybe yellow. Yellow's always kind of cool. Yellow's cool. Yellow can work for now. All right, cool. All right, so we have that set up, and that looks pretty good. It looks like now the reason why these particular bars are looking rounded, and that's just because we have the background, and I can do that for this one since it may look better. So I can go here and I can just search for the background, but they all need it as well, not just that one. And then this one as well. So now they're all kind of like has a nice round edge to it. And we'll probably change a lot of these things in terms of design. Not sure if I even like that yellow. So screw it. I'll just go ahead and rock like something else, like blue. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but maybe like a lavender, or what is this, teal? So maybe teal for now, or purple. I don't know, teal. I don't know. It's fine. All right, cool. All right, so we'll go with that. So let's just go ahead and hit play just to see what it looks like on the screen. All right, cool. So we have our guy's health, and we have the bars at least in place. Nothing is working, of course, but we're just trying to get an idea of what that could look like, and when our guy is, when the scene looks like this. So it could work out pretty good. All right. All right, cool. All right, so now if we don't want it to be like so big or long or whatever, we could change that. So I can select this and move them up so they're not so long. Something like that. And I would want these to at least match. Okay, cool. Close enough. All right, so we'll have an icon here for health. I probably have this touching this, but for now that's fine. And then I'll have an icon for defense, icon for poise, and we'll have those reducing and whatnot. All right, great. And let me just go ahead and change this panel size. Oops. And that already tells me what I need to do. So top left, we need these we need these objects also based on the top left. So let's go ahead and make sure that is done. All right. So you can basically select all of these and just change them all at once by just selecting the anchor pivot. All right. And then so if I select this panel and move this up, that should be good. And I'll leave this like so. So I know that that is the extent of that. And I want this information to, oops, that's not what I want. I want to move, let's see here, this up a little bit, just ever so much there. All right, cool. All right. Hopefully that looks good later. We'll see. I want those to be a little closer though. So see, that's perfect. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So bring it up just a bit more. And I want to bring these up just a little bit more. All right, great. And then I want that to be kind of like that. All right, cool. So I want that to be that close. That works out pretty good for me. All right, great. All right, so in order for these to work, we have to add some components to the panels here. So I'm going to name this shield first so that we know what we're messing with here. And we have poise. So what I may do is add a D to those just to make sure that we know what bars we're messing with here. And I'll go just like that, and then I'll add a P to this one. P. Actually, let me get rid of these ones at the end. And I'll go over here. All right, cool. So poise, defense, P, D, good. And then overall shielding, right? And that's what it's all going to be about. All right, great. All right, and then so with that, on our health panel, we're going to need to add an additional thing, okay? So what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to take this top left. Let me make sure that this is doing what I wanted to do. Okay, yeah, that's fine. All right, what I want to do is take this health panel. I'm going to go to add component, and I believe it's going to be attribute UI. And when you select attribute UI, this is where you start looking at how stats and using the stat modules work. We're just going to go and touch on just the things that we need. It does a lot of different things, but getting used to using it just for the basics and having a UI for your health is about as basic as it gets. Having the defense for the shield and the poise is just like having like health for your UI. So, and the game creator did a really good job of making that simple. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. So the first one we want to look at is health. Now, the reason that we created these elements first is because we're going to take these elements and fill them into this UI attribute, okay? And then this UI attribute is connected to the stats module for information. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at this where it says target. This is going to be based on the player, so that's what you want to do is make sure that that target is based there. Now, in terms of the attribute, we're going to need to select health. Now, if you do not see health, let's go ahead and take a look at our game creator. Take a look at game creator preferences and go down to where it says stats. Okay. All right, great. All right, so in here in stats, without getting into all of the details of how the stats module work, we have stats, we have attributes, and we have status effects. Okay. Now, if you don't see any of these things, what you're going to need to do is go to Game Creator Module Manager, and you're going to have to install the stats example. The stats example is going to have examples, and then with those examples, it's going to have some built-in effects like levels and next level, and as you can see, all of these different things. Okay, we're not going to be doing levels for this game. That's maybe in the future, but for this particular game, we don't want to do levels. We just want to be able to make something that starts from the beginning to the end. So what we're going to do is take a look at this. So we have stats and attributes. Now, where it says health, you have this area here, name ID, health. You have title, obviously health. Description, obviously amount of health, and then the short name is going to be HP. And then it gives you an option for a minimal value or a min value. Obviously, that's going to be 0 because that's the lowest number you can have. And then it has an area for the max value. And the max value is being pulled from a stat. Okay, so then let's head over to stats. When we go to stats, currently I have something called health max because I created that, but yours may have vitality. Okay, so if yours has this, it's pretty much identical to what I have set up, but you have your name, the title, description, and as you can see, it's called maximum amount of health. and then you have the short name for vitality, and then you have the base value of 100. And then there's something called a formula. All right, so I'm going to go down to health max, but if you want to create a stat, you just simply select stat and you put in those same values, and then you put in your base value. And then for formula, let's take a look at what that is. So I'm going to select, let's go to vitality. I'm going to select this formula. I'm just going to select it, and then it's going to show up in your project folder here. And then when you select it, on the right side of your screen inside this inspector, it's going to have these different, these different expressions or different types of values. And I'm not going to get into all of these because I haven't used every single one. But the only thing that matters right now is this value. And this value is just simply based on the value that you have set. Okay. So in the future, we'll talk about some of these other things. But for now, let's just focus on just getting the health to work. All right. So we have a base value. So you just want to have something simple where it just says this value, and that's pulled from this, and it has a understanding of it returns the current stat value without modifiers. Okay. All right. So you put that formula inside of here. So in my case, I created something just simple called health max. And I created, of course, I created a formula called health max as well, just to keep it simple. And I put that in there. All right. So back to our health, we have health max, and that is part of this list of stats. And I just simply selected it. Okay. And then the current value, we're just going to leave this at 1. All right. So we're not going to mess with mana, right? This is like magic. We're not messing with that sort of thing just yet. But that's just for health. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move this off to another screen. So heading back to our health panel here and looking at our attribute UI, we're going to select the attribute that this UI or this particular health is going to be based on. So we're going to select health. Okay. And the icon that we want this to show up in, we want to take this health icon and we're going to click and drag this into this slot. Now, the icon is going to pick itself up from the icon that we placed inside of here where it says select short icon. And so whatever icon you put here, you can pull it up here. Now, you don't have to use this at all. You can just simply put in an image by just simply selecting this here and actually changing the sprite to an image. So if you want to do it that way, which I may actually do that, but for now, this is how that would change, and I'll show you that change in a moment. But for now, that's how that works. Going back to the panel health, below that, you have the color graphic. We're not going to change that right now. We have the title text. We're not using text, as you can see, anywhere here. But if we wanted to have text, we would drag that text here, and then that title text would be based on the title that you have listed here. And I'll go ahead and actually just go ahead and put a text in there just to show you what that means. So I'll go to UI, and I'm just going to go to simple text. And this text is here, so I'm going to put it inside of here. And I'm going to change a couple of things here. I'm going to left align it. I'm going to make it centered just like that. And I'll go ahead and make it smaller. And I'm just going to put like, this is just going to be like attribute text. I'm just going to put alt text or just like ATT text, right? Or something like that. And just to show you that that's going to change. Okay. And we can change the size of it to maybe 20. 20 is bigger than what we have, so we can do something like that. And then we can actually change the color. So I'll change the color to maybe white, and I'll leave it like that, right? So now that we have that text, I'm going to go to panel health, and then I'll drag that title text into that space. Boom, just like that. All right, great. So now that we have that, let me go ahead and hit play, and I'll show you that it will change. All right. All right, so it didn't change. Let's find out why. So let's see here. So it didn't work, and the main reason I believe that that didn't work is because it doesn't know why or what it's pulling from. That's because our player is going to need a stats on it. So let's go ahead and go to our player really quick. And what I'll do is go to our player. You click on your player, and then at the very bottom, what we want to do is type in stat, and what you want to do is add stats. And every single player or character that is going to have a stat needs this component added. Okay. All right. So let's go back to our health panel. And the things that are going to change is everything that we have set up here. So we have the health icon set up and we have the title set up. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And as soon as it loads up. All right, great. So as you can see here, it says health, and you can also see that our icon changed to the icon that we have set up inside of the actual attribute. So the icon and of course the title is going to be health. Okay. All right. So that's pretty straightforward there. So if you ever run into that issue that something's not showing up, you want to make sure that the character that you're using has the stats component added to him. All right. All right, so the next thing we want to go ahead and do is take a look at the shield as well. So let's see here, the shield defense icons. So since we don't have those set up, what I'm going to do is add, let's see here, what I may do, what would be a good way to approach this? So a good way to do this will probably be to go ahead and select the shield panel, go to add component, and I think we'll do, character melee UI, I think that's it. And what we want to do is fill in the fill image, and that's the only thing we're going to need here. Now, I was thinking, what we're going to have to do is actually get rid of a couple things that we didn't need. Is going to be the D-bar trailing and the D-bar trailing and the P-bar trailing. That's not going to be necessary in this case. So that's fine. So I'll get rid of that. All right. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and drag the P-bar right over to poise and the D-bar over to defense. All right, and then I'm going to select the D-bar and I'm going to change it from image type sliced to filled. I believe that's it. And then instead of fill method being radial 360, I think I want to do vertical. And then I'm going to remove, let's see here. Can we do tiled? No, we're going to just go ahead and do, yeah, we'll just go ahead and do it filled. And then I'm going to remove this background and I'm going to remove this to be like that. And let's see here. Actually, did I do that right? No, we don't want to do that. Hold on just a second. Let me think about that. All right, so let's see here. So instead of removing the background completely, what we're going to need to do is put in something. So what I'm going to do is go through here and put in maybe a square. I could also use, we can use something like that, like an input fill background. We can use the background UI sprite. So let's see here. I'm going to change this to field. And let's see, I'm going to change this to square. All right, great. All right, so that's going to be our icon for now. That's going to be what our panel is going to look like for this particular bar, for this orange one. And then we want it to be filled from vertically, filled from the bottom, right? I think that's what we want. Or do we want it? Yeah, from the bottom. And we want it to reduce as the defense gets attacked. So let's see if this is working. All right, just a moment. All right, so as you can see here, it's filling up there. And if I were to wait until I get attacked, oops, it kind of reduces, as you can see, based on when he's attacked. All right, great. Now poise isn't working yet, and so we're gonna get that one working here in the moment. So let's go ahead and get that going. All right, so I'm gonna go back to there, and I'm gonna do the same thing for the poise. So I'm gonna go to the bar, I'm gonna change it to filled, and then I'm gonna change it to another image. Not that one, of course. Square, and then we're gonna change it to field, and then it's gonna be vertical from the bottom, and it should be good there. So if we get attacked, the poise should reduce. All right, so let's take a look at that. All right, so as you can see, it's climbing, and so let's get hit. As you can see, the poise was reduced, but it goes back up full. And so again, that's how we can explain it before. That's how poise and damage works, and we have it working here. So that would be kind of cool. We'll make that look much better once we get to more of the polished side of things, but we just want to make sure things are working properly. All right, let's see here. All right. Now, in terms of course, in terms of the two icons, what we're gonna have to do with those is simply create basically an image and get those put into the sprite. So for instance, if I wanted to select, I don't know, anything just that's kind of floating around in my Unity folder here. So if I selected like this S, you know, you could just use something temporarily to fill that spot, which is completely fine. But that's basically what we're going to do, is basically have to create something in an outside program like Adobe or whatever you're using for your graphics, and create an image to go in there. All right, so we can do that the same for this one. I may actually do that just because I prefer knowing what it's going to look like before it actually boots up. But for now, I'm just going to actually go back to leave it as a white square just to remind me as well that that needs to change. All right, so let's take a look at the health. Now, going back to the health, we need to do the same thing or a similar thing for the health. All right, so in terms of the health, what we want to do is go back to our health attribute UI, and let's take a look at our description. We're not putting a description. We're not using the short name anywhere. We could use the short name. So instead of the text being the title, we could simply take the text and it be the short name. So I'm going to remove this one, and it'll say the short name. So it should be, in terms of our attributes, the short name would be HP. And so that could work out pretty cool. So we can leave that. And then in terms of the fill image, we want the fill image to be the bar. So we're going to drag this fill image over to this bar, or the bar over to the fill image. And in terms of the trailing, what I'm going to do, I think for that, is I'm going to select the trailing. I'm going to add a component here. And then I'm going to select character UI. And then for the trailing, what you want to do is not character melee. Sorry about that. I'm going to remove that one, wrong one. It's going to be attribute UI. And I'm going to select health. And then for this one, I'm going to move the bar trailing to the fill image. I think I'll put the fill image there. And then I'm going to do a transition down for that one. And I'll leave this like so. So we'll check to see if that actually works. So it should only transition down, not up. All right, so that one's fine. So let's go back to the bar. And I think that is it for health. Hopefully that actually works. Let's take a look at the bar. And I'm going to change this from slice to filled. And we're going to have to do the same thing here. I'm going to select this square here just to kind of fill that in. And then we're going to do filled horizontal in this case. Origin is the left, I think. And I think that should be good. And then we'll do the same thing for the bar as well. So do this filled, change this to the square, and I'll leave the color the way it is, and we'll leave that the way it is. And then for the bar background, that's just the background, so we can leave that the way it is as well. And I think the color is fine for now. All right, so in terms of the health, let's see here. So we may not be able to see the health reduce because we don't have any type of conditions or anything set to reduce the player's health. However, at the start of I'm going to go ahead and create like a trigger to maybe reduce the health to see it work. Because our enemies right now, when they attack, it's not actually reducing any health, and that's fine for now. So we'll get into that in a few more videos here coming soon. So, but for now, let me see if I can create something quick just to test it. So a trigger on start. We want to see actions. And let's see here. We want to take a stat. We want to change an attribute, the player's health. And we want to subtract the value of, I don't know, like 3. And maybe we'll do it after a wait. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm actually just testing to see if this actually works. So it's going to wait for 3 seconds and then subtract. It may not actually work. I don't know. Let's see. It actually may not work. Let me see. Let's hit play. All right. So it looks like it did work, but let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and do it again, but I'm going to increase that value to be something more like I don't know, like 20. Okay. All right. So let's try it again. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce the value by 20, and then I'm going to hit play and see how that goes. All right. All right, so it did work. So that did work. When it reduced the value, that value followed suit right behind it. And so that is effectively working with the HP. All right, great. All right, so I think I'll call that it for this video. I hope that was straightforward enough to follow along. In the next coming videos, what we're going to start looking at is how are we going to get these minion guys to attack us and actually reduce the HP down. Okay. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. For the next set of videos, I'll be releasing one every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So to stay up to date on the latest 3D platforming tutorial, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support, you can find me on Patreon, or of course you can hit me up on Discord. I like to talk about whatever project you guys are working on. Of course, thanks for hanging with me. Your support is always appreciated. As always, remember, never give up and keep moving forward. Peace.